sorry. My actions, they haunt me, and I'll never live it down. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was.
Our experienced team of highly trained industry professionals understand exactly what your needs are, whether it is your family, your personal assets, or your business. Get in touch with AdviceCube today. AdviceCube, insuring assets. AdviceCube is a registered financial service provider.
Play it your way with My Day.
Right, so good morning to all of the viewers on this broadcast sent to you by 360 Sport. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Grand Prix, and you are about to watch the semi-finals. We do have two matches ongoing, so please feel free to join us for the next 3.5 hours for this session. In the first semi-final, you will see Charles Jonk against Jaden Nobin, and over on our second, see Moutalib Ali facing Fakhri Khirdin. The match is scheduled to start at 10 a.m. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy, and we will keep you entertained throughout. And then just an update, we will also then have the finals that is then scheduled for 2 p.m. We'll start shortly shy of 2 p.m. with the opening ceremony, and we'll then also include the prize giving thereafter. So please do come and enjoy the stream. This is a Pro Snooker production, broadcasting done by the experts over 360 Sports. Please go to Facebook and follow Pro Snooker and 360 Sport on YouTube. So a big thank you to all of us for joining us, and we will see you shortly for the start of this match. Please sit back. Thanks, everyone. All right, so semi-final number one, Charles Jonk, and he's up against the youngster Jaden Nobin. You can see him there to the right of your screen. Also, the match official, Mr. Stefan Steenekamp, is right there in the center of your screen. Both players, with regards to their route getting into the semi-final, Charles played Brandon Galant from the Western Cape. Charles is from Port Elizabeth. You can see Charles there on the left-hand side. Charles from Port Elizabeth played Brandon Galant from the Western Cape. Charles had a convincing win there of 5-0 over Brandon, which then saw him through to the quarterfinals, where he again had a great match against Kiashan Moodley. Beat Kiashan from Pretoria, playing from the Innisdale club. He beat him 5-0 as well. He's now in the semi-final against Jaden Nobin. Jaden also, his path through to the semi-final has been a bit harder. He played Donovan Vivigi. He's also from Port Elizabeth. Jaden is a local from Durban, and he beat Donovan 4-2. Moving over to the quarterfinal, it was Jaden against Mervyn Donnelly. That was a local derby with the two Durbanites, and Jaden came back. It looked at one point as if Mervyn was going to go past Jaden, and but Jaden secured that final frame 5-3. He's now facing Charles Jonk, and as I said, over on the second stream, we've got Mutalib Ali against Fakhri Gerdin. As we can see, both players are just about ready. It is now 10 a.m., so we are about to see the start of play. Does look like Jaden has won the coin toss and he's opted to break. Jaden definitely one of the young up-and-comers in snooker. As I said, we are live from the Q-Master Snooker Centre in Durban, so he is a local. He's also the organizer of the qualifiers for these events. As I said, this is the Advice Cube Grand Prix, and in essence how this works is there's 8 spots secured by seeded players. Charles seeded number 1. Jaden is seeded number 5. So if you are seeded in the top 8, you get a spot automatically in the main event. We see a slow roll up to the cluster of reds by Charles, just trying to contain Jaden and force him to make a mistake. So the other 8 spots, as we have 16 players in this event, is secured by playing the Advice Cube qualifiers. It's a total of 64 qualifiers. You don't have to play in all of them. In essence, you just need to win a mini qualifier that gets you a spot into a main qualifier. And once you win that main qualifier, you then secure a spot in this Advice Cube Grand Prix main event. And that is how we filled up our 16 spots. And these players then compete for a whopping 75,000 Rand. Absolutely incredible prize money put up by our sponsors, Advice Cube Insuring Assets. So please go and have a look at their website, advicecube.co.za. They specialize in short and long-term insurance. So get in touch with them. Their contact number is 0861732688, or just go to advicecube.co.za. So a big thank you to Advice Cube and the team for getting behind the sport and assisting us to grow and making it possible and worthwhile for these players to then compete. Our other sponsor for today is also, you can see there to the right of Stefan, there is some signage up there, My Day Brands. They are the official refreshment sponsor of the Pro Snooker events. And they are heavily involved with Q Sports overall. So Mr. Diamudley, a big thank you to him for being a part of Pro Snooker and these main events. As we see, Jaden was the first one to try and pull the trigger as he attempted a long red, and that in essence is what snooker boils down to. It's the first one to make a mistake, and then you capitalize on that, scoring points. And in essence, how this boils down is, you'll see Charles is attempting a red, and he'll keep on attempting to go for a red until one is potted, and then you need to go for a different color ball. The red is valued at only 1 point, and you need to pot a red and then a different color and back to a red until all 15 reds are potted. And once that happens, you then play the colors in a specific order, and that is yellow, green, brown, blue, pink, and black. The yellow is valued at 2 points, the green 3, brown 4, blue 5, pink 6, and black 7. So in essence, the perfect break would then be red, black, red, black, red, black. That in total for 120 points. Then the various other colors from yellow through to black is valued at 27. So in total, giving you 147. And that is known as a perfect break. So ever elusive, Charles has already scored 3 of them. Jaden, however, has not been able to. However, as you can see, he's now started building on that break. He has potted a red ball that is valued at 1. Blue now down, that's 5 points, so it gives him a total of 6. As you see, the scoreboard has just updated. So with the information overload, hopefully you are now caught up in a couple of minutes. You now understand exactly how snooker works. It's a lot more intricate than that though, but we'll try to do our best to give you as much information as possible while you can still digest and enjoy the match. So as you saw there, what Jaden did is he played the red, but not just only did he pot the red, he ran the cue ball into the cluster of reds slightly, just to give them a little bit of a split and a little bit of an opening, because he'll now try and attempt to pot this black. Jaden, a very aggressive player, he's known to go for a lot regularly. Cutting this back, this doesn't look good. No, it stayed out. So it doesn't look like he would have gotten position on an easy red by the way that he played that. You can see the red there just to the left of the cluster would have probably been the one that he would play on. But it's now all about taking a calculated risk. You work out the percentage of success on playing a shot, and that is how you then make a decision. If you feel that it's too risky, then rather play safely and allow your opponent to make the mistake. As you can see there, a nice cut into the bottom left by Charles. And it's all about calculating the risk and the reward. If you can see that you can play that ball and get on a color, then it is more favorable to then go for it. But if chances are that you might miss and you leave your opponent with the whole table open, then it might not be the wisest decision to then play that shot. So Charles, very experienced. He's also the South African national champion. As I said, he's from Port Elizabeth. He plays from the DS Snooker Club. Very proud about that fact. He's also sponsored by the rental company and WRD distributors. You can see that there on the back of his waistcoat. So very experienced player. The 2022 is a national snooker champion. Jaden, still the up-and-coming player. Charles has been playing for quite a long time. His dad actually introduced him to snooker, so means a lot to him. However, not a very good shot being played there by Charles. He's missed that into the middle pocket, so couldn't add to the break. And also seeing where the cue ball ended up, wouldn't have had a road to continue building on that break. And exactly what Jaden did there is quite a good containing safety. Charles not snookered, he can see the reds. However, if he's now going to go down red and play just between brown and the green, chances are quite high that he won't be able to get the cue ball back into bulk, and that's in essence where the yellow, the brown and the green is, because that's the furthest distance from the object balls. As you can see there, the brown and green cutting off their angles as well, so you can't just freely play onto a red of your choosing, so it's limiting the options. So a very good containing shot being played by Jaden. Charles did really well to find a route through those reds and avoiding the traffic just to get the cue ball back. So this is where Jaden, we've seen him a couple of times referred to in snooker as taking a dip, and it's going for a difficult shot. He's going for the one on the left, the one on the right. The red on the furthest to the right is more difficult, but the risk here is less. However, he's missed it, but as you can see, the risk is less. Playing for the red on the left allowed him to play the cue ball in such a way that if he made it, then at least he had a shot on the brown, the green, as well as the yellow. But missing, now the cue ball, there's further distance between the cue ball and the ball on, which is red at the moment. Capitalized on where that red was left by Jaden. It's also pushed the black into a position that's quite tempting, but I could almost think that Charles would be confident enough to go for the blue rather and keep the cue ball down where the reds are. So he'll probably play for one of the reds that's on the right of that cluster. However, again, blue not Charles' friend as it stands. He's also left Jaden with a red to the middle. Not sure if the red directly below the pink, just slightly off to the left, can pass the cluster. It does look like the red closest to the cue ball is obstructing the one just below the red I was referring to before that. So probably see him play the red to the middle if he feels confident enough. We've seen yesterday throughout the day that the middle pocket's causing an issue. That to the right of the pink does pass above the pink as well. Nice shot being played there. However, how's his position for the black? Could also play the blue through the reds. Does look like there's a little bit of a gap. However, Players normally try and gun for the black. Just depends on how he'll then get position back onto his next red. He's opting for that blue through the reds. Jaden, as I said, is a local from Durban, qualified from the exact venue we are playing from now. So he is familiar with the tables. It's the Q Master Snooker. So he's also the organizer for the Advice Cube qualifiers. So does put a lot of work into playing snooker, and he's also recently started playing snooker, but very passionate. Had some tough battles yesterday. Played Donovan Vivigi, and he also played Mervyn Donnelly. Both of them were back and forth tussles, and at one point it looked like Mervyn Donnelly was going to push Jaden to a 4-4 and down to a decider. As I said, the sessions are timed at 3.5 hours, and it looked like Mervyn was going to push Jaden, but then last minute Jaden was able to then pull the trigger and clear the table and win the frame, which then made it 5-3 instead of 4-4. It would have been entertaining if it was 4-4 with 5 minutes remaining, because the score would then be settled, since the frame count is even on the player with the highest break at the end of the 3.5 allotted hours. A good shot being played by Charles there. In essence, can only maybe even see just the one red. You can see he's going down. Black obstructing a lot. Is he going to take this on? No, he's just, again, trying to contain Charles. He has left Charles with a red that's on the rail. Can already see that Charles is looking at where he's going to leave the cue ball to play for the blue or the pink, if the pink can pass the cluster of reds down to the bottom left. So Charles is going for this to the bottom right, and successfully made the shot. And you can see there where he pointed with his cue, that's where the cue ball went. So successfully played there. Charles will just now start to get into the groove of things. He had a very good break yesterday of 116, and that with a damaged Q-tip. We'll actually do a post about that on Facebook. So if you're not already following us on Facebook, just go to Facebook Pro Snooker. We'll post that on there, and we'll give you the highlights of that break, and we'll also show you a picture back at the end of that break. But 116 is also the highest break thus far, and there's a cash prize for that. Red to the middle, a little bit difficult, so he rather puts side. That's quite an interesting shot. It didn't work out exactly as he wanted, but you saw that he played along the side of the red, sending the cue ball down towards the yellow, but then obviously missing the yellow. But the amount of side that Charles then added to the cue ball, it bit off onto the rail and spun to try and get it in behind the yellow, but just a little bit too hard. But some creative thinking by Charles, but left Jaden with this red to the middle, off on the jaw again. Red showing that it is no one's friend here this weekend. Left himself beautifully on the blue. However, you'd need to make the red first. But an opportunity now for the two reds to the right of the cluster for Charles. Again, just to try and get some traction going and building momentum into the semi-final. It is best out of 9. So first player to reach 5, or the player to lead on either frame count, and thereafter a frame count is tied to the points scored within that frame at the end of the 3.5 hours allotted time. But successfully potted and onto the pink. That answers the question with regards to the pink. This is looking like Charles now starting to flow a little bit. Left himself onto 2 reds. Looking like he's going to opt for the one to the top left, grabbing the rest. Charles very proficient with the rest. It is one of the skills that snooker players need to hone the quickest because of the size of the table. Table is 12 foot. It's in essence 4 pool tables. Oof, just hitting the left jaw and then the right and left again, and then just coming out. So interesting, overly on our second stream, Fakhri off to a quick start. He's on a break of 75 right now, so he's definitely secured the first frame. However, that 116 looks a little bit far off. There is still one red left on the table, so it is within reach. No, there's two reds left on the table, so within reach for Fakhri to go past that highest break. But on the black at the moment, Fakhri, so he needs to send the cue ball towards the reds. It's right at the top of the table, so an interesting first frame over on our second semi-final. The first semi-final is a little bit of a tussle still between Charles and Jaden. They're still feeling each other out. Oh, and that is perfect by Charles. He's left that cue ball right behind that yellow. Very nice snooker being played by Charles. There's no red visible by Jaden. So Charles now will try and turn the screws on the young Jaden. Jaden will try and make contact with red as quickly as possible, and at the same time try not to leave him on with anything. Looking good to make contact. However, he has left that red closest to the cue ball, just to the right of it. He has left that on. Charles also has the opportunity to play the red to the middle as well as the top left, but I don't think he'll be playing onto that. Going to grab for the rest rather and play the one closest to him that Jaden was playing onto. At least not any points conceded by committing a foul by Jaden. But Charles' plan coming to fruition. To the bottom right, left himself on the pink to the middle. Nicely played to the middle. Does look like he's going to play for the lower red to the bottom right. He is indeed. He's got a nice angle just to come back out again and not leave the cue ball at the bottom of the table. Just slightly overran it though. Wanted to stay on the pink again. Just a little bit too hard. At least it does pass to the bottom right. But now sending the cue ball away of the cluster, and he's also missed the pink, which is unfortunate. He at least had the red to the middle, but more importantly, he missed the pink. So end of the break. Charles, however, in the lead by 11 at the moment. The first frame already done and dusted over on our second stream. I think the break ended on a total of 82. Jaden now with a break of 7 already. Red and pink has been potted, and he's left himself on the red. The reds are quite nice at the pink. However, again, he's missed that. We saw this quite a lot in the matchup between Jaden and Mervyn Donnelly. Both players getting a good start and then the break falling apart. We also saw that in the match between Fakhri and Rafiq. Fakhri playing in the other semi-final. Players not able to just get that ball, the break going, and the break falling apart. Just a few shots in. So players will want to just settle down. As I said, they are playing for 75,000 Rand, sponsored by Advice Cube. They are the main sponsor for the Advice Cube Grand Prix. So a lot at stake for all four of the players in action right now. So, does look like foul was committed by Charles. I don't think he touched a red where that cue ball ended up. Jaden then has the option of awarding or asking the match official to return the ball to its spot, or asking Charles to play it from where it lays, or Jaden could play it from where it stopped. So some options, and Jaden then enforcing Charles to then play the shot from where the cue ball stopped. Quite a lot of distance between. Again, a nice red on the blue. Could get nice position on the next red as well. However, slight concern for both players would be the three colors and the red, the green, the black, and the yellow. The yellow does pass. The yellow would need to be potted first once the reds are all finished, but the next one in the line to pot is then the green. But the problem is, before we get to that stage, is that there's still one red left. Even if you pot all of the loose reds, it is still not framed, done, and completed due to the scores as they stand right now. Points difference on 10. Jaden doing quite well. Charles, the obvious favourite. Charles Jonk undefeated in all of the Pro Snooker events. He's won all of them. Seeded number 1. Jaden seeded number 5. Oh, he misses the pink, and now he's showing some frustration. Charles will like that. So always encouraged not to show your frustration. There's also another school of thought, is to then get that frustration and emotion out as quickly as possible. However, if your opponent sees that, they could capitalize. And this is a good opportunity for Charles to do so. He's got the ping to the bottom left. But then he's got two difficult reds to play at. Is he going to try and move that red now? Nudged it slightly, but not enough to get it into a good position. So will Charles go for the double or try and tie Jaden up? Double, and that looks good. Very good double. Does raise his hand, though, and only intended to hit one rail with the double. Then ended up hitting 2, yet the red still went. Charles having a look at that red. Both players need that red. So he's trying to think of a plan as to how he's going to go about dispatching that red as productively as possible. Or is he going to leave himself in a bit of trouble? Or is he perfect on it between the green and the black? We'll see how he plays it now. How much of this red can Charles see, and can he pot it? That is lovely. The fact that he got position on it, yes, it is disappointing that he couldn't make the red. That would have been very impressive. But just the fact that he got position enough for the red was good to see. Hasn't left Jaden with much, though. Only 4 points in it. Interesting first frame between the popular Charles Jonk and the up-and-coming Jaden Neubend. Concerns were that Charles was just going to run away with this match. But Jaden showing his grit, only 4 points behind Charles. Brisk pace over on our second table, 1-0 in favor of Fakhri. However, now Mutali putting up a fight back. He's leading 28 points to 22. It does look now like this is a snooker. And it's a bit tricky now for Charles because of the colors surrounding the red. If he misses the red just, it does look like he's going to play this 2 rails just in between the black and the yellow and coming up behind the yellow. No, saw enough to just put a little bit of swerve on. The angle of the TV just a bit deceiving there once again. But a reasonably good return by Charles. See again, Jaden has elevated the cue a little bit, and I think this has gone awry for Jaden. Not an easy red, but has left the red onto the middle pocket. Question now is, will Charles be playing this safely or more aggressively and try and pot the ball? Nicely played. Blue needs to stay out, and it does. Nice little second nudge on the cue ball by the blue, just keeping the blue at bay. So Charles can play at that right now, and we'll see it return to its spot right in the center of the table. Valued at 5 points, so break on 6 right now. We'll take his score to 44. Left himself on the yellow. Now that all the reds are dispatched, he needs to go in specific order. The green, the yellow, then the green, then the brown, followed by the blue and the pink, and then lastly the black. So if he's going to clear all of them, we should see Charles go 1-0 up. But a little bit tricky in terms of the position of the cue ball, the green and the black. If he will get position on the brown, it's not great. You can at least see it, but there was no way of avoiding the black. Or the brown stayed out. You saw there Mr. Stefan Stenekop just walking into the line of the shot. We didn't see it hit the jaw and come out, but not great for Charles. Frame within reach. Ball's onto that, awkward now. Needs to pot the brown. Oh, it misses it. Had to play the blue there after. And not great position on that either. Would have been able to play it to the top right, but needs to get onto the pink there after. Brown a lot easier now for Charles. I can see him dispatch that and get position on the blue now. Does so. Pace looks good to get onto the blue. Almost a little bit too hard. Would have liked to stop maybe 2 or 3 inches short of where he did. But could just follow through and get onto the pink now. So it does look like Charles will take this first frame. 13 points on the table. More than 13 points the difference. Oh, he's missed it. And that is the frame. The first frame has been completed. 1-0 for Charles. We'll take a quick break while Mr. Stefan gets the balls racked. We'll see you shortly. Thanks, everyone. Does look like both players have also just stepped out quickly, so they might just, to their own thoughts, just think exactly how that frame played out and what they can do to improve on what has happened. Jaden has put up quite a bit of a fight in that frame against Charles, but still going the way of Charles in the end. Our second table now sees Mutalip Ali in the lead, 42 points to 27, however trailing 0 frames to 1. As we just wait for the players just to return to the tables. We see Jaden has returned. Charles to break off. Breaking off. The idea behind the break off is to just nudge the reds and get the cue ball back to safety behind the bulk line. That's where the brown, yellow and green is. And quite a good shot being played. The brown and the blue doing a good job on the left-hand side of the cluster, and the green doing the hard work on the right-hand side. So in essence, Jaden can only play through between the blue and the green. A very good shot, and it's then difficult to get the cue ball back to safety. So a very good break off by Charles. Use of a rail. He's done so, but how much has he left Charles with? It's going to be tough to bridge over. I'll probably just see him send the cue ball back, try and get it in behind the green. I couldn't. Made too much of a contact, the angle sending cue ball to the right of the green. Cue ball just coming out slightly. The red closest to the left of the cluster. Does it go? Looks like Charles is playing for another safety though. See another bigger explosion of the cluster. And now there's a lot of traffic to navigate. Again, slowly just rolling it. Knew that it could have been quite hard just to get the cue ball back into the bulk area. And at the same time, he's also seeing if he could tempt Charles into going for something, taking a risk, and hopefully Charles missing out, but Charles very experienced. So he won't necessarily just fall for traps set by Jaden due to his experience. Proves my point, just gets the cue ball back safely in behind the bulk line. Jaden with less traffic on the right hand side, so he'll try and play this two rails. Oh, miss. Oh, missed it initially. Raises his hand in apology. But he's definitely left Charles with a couple of reds to look at. Red to the bottom left. Nudging into the reds, getting onto the black. So this is a golden opportunity. You'll see players with good cue ball control get in and amongst these reds and just control that cue ball on a piece of string and get them perfectly in position. He wants to try and get back to where the cue ball is now. That's still fine. With the split on the reds, there's a couple of reds for Charles to look at, but Charles just doesn't want to give Jaden an opportunity to come back to the table. So just some calculated shots, but not great on position where he ended up. Can play the red to the middle and end up on the blue, and could possibly be on the pink to the bottom right. Charles just taking a walk, taking his time, just making sure that he's seeing all the angles from the table. Table has 4 sides. Doesn't help if you just stay and keep your perspective from one side. Just walk around and make sure that you're seeing all of your opportunities. Has made the blue. Looks like he played onto the 3 reds that's on the bottom rail. Does look like he can pass through the black and the red to play the one furthest to the left. Now he's looking at the red just above the black. No, could get through another gap onto the red to the bottom left. Onto the blue again, as well as the pink. He does play for the blue. Just needs to be mindful of the cue ball again. Is he going to try and get the cue ball in between the brown and the yellow? Does. Needed a little bit more power behind that. So not an easy red for Charles to go for, to the bottom right. Could also maybe cut it to the middle pocket, but that will just send the cue ball running. Yeah, tough shot and didn't work out, but a break nonetheless. So it doesn't look like he's left Jaden with anything easy. So Jaden might just send this red closest to the bulk line back towards the other reds. Get it out of there. Charles just having again a look at his options. Bit of a risky shot being played by Charles. Does look like he's now left Jaden with an easy opener. Jaden has not yet scored a point. Bit of a stretch. Jaden not the tallest. So is he going to opt for the rest? He is. So let's see how well Jaden can cue using the rest. Bit of distance between the cue ball and the red. That was well played by Jaden's, left himself on the black. Jaden wants to make sure that he makes this black. Doesn't want to give momentum back to Charles by only just scoring 1 point. Black does stay out though. She'll see Charles coming back to the table. Maybe play the red to the right just below the pink. If it does pass through the reds. Unless he's got a gap between the reds to play for the red to the bottom left. No, he went for the pink below, or just the red just below the pink. It's also now freed up the pink a little bit more. Red is now left on the green. I don't know why he's not playing for the pink. Could just be positional. Unless the rest red just below it is still obstructing the pink. Cannot always clearly see the angles that the players are seeing by being right at the table looking from this view, but he's now playing for the red that was or could have been obstructing the pink. Blue also tied up. Blue's normally spotted right in the middle of the table. That's tied up at the moment, so he'll want to have a look at getting that feed up. At least the black is also opened up, but quite a bit of congestion around the black spot. Update on scores over on our second stream. Scores are now 1-1. So Mothalib has now clawed one back. Always interesting when you can see a bit of a back and forth between the players. Fakhri is seeded number 2. Muttalib is seeded in sixth position actually. And so Fakhri the favorite based on the seedings. Seedings over on our matches. Charles is seeded number 1, the undefeated Charles Jonk in the Pro Snooker events. He's not playing like himself in this match thus far. Raising his hand, apologizing for leaving the red tucked in behind the black. However, still a red available, but problem is he has tied up the black now with red. Gonna see enough of the red at the bottom of the table. Easy route just to get the cue ball back to safety. At distance, will Jaden be tempted to go for any of the reds? I doubt. He understands the importance. It's the first semi-final that we've seen Jaden in, so it's a big match for him. Understands that he cannot afford to make any mistakes. Cue ball should still be safe in bulk. One red has now come out a little bit more, but the red just below it then makes it difficult. If you then cut it, you'll run into the red just below. So I should just see another return of safety. Four rails into the bulk. Charles again having to grab for the rest, showing that he has the proficiency with the rest for this red to the bottom right. Just having a peek to see which color he's going to play on. Should be the pink. Does draw it back slightly, so he can now play for the pink to the bottom left. Looking quite closely at this pink to see how close it is to actually pass the reds. Seeing exactly the line that he needs to play this on. This could be quite close. No, comfortably went. Now play for the red just below the blue. Trying to just work around that blue just to open it up. Get access to the red surrounding it as well. Black has been awkward throughout the frame, right at the top of the table. Red potted successfully. Problem now is I don't think the blue passes quite yet to the bottom right. If it does, it will work out for Charles, but if he plays for the pink, cue ball could get awkward. He's playing for the pink, so needs to make sure he knows where this cue ball's going. It's fine, that tells me that the red that he's going for now does pass the two reds at the bottom left. Oh, just the jaw. This is very unlike Charles. Again, lucky for him, hasn't left Jaden with too much. Just depends on the gap between the two reds to the left. If he can see enough of it, he could cut it in. Or he could just open them up a little bit. Jaden just looking at what his options are. Jaden just taking his time, assessing all of his options. This is quite a big moment. Charles is already 52 points to 1, so leading by 51. Jaden will need to make a plan and pot the remaining reds along with high colors to get close to Charles' score, then use the colors to go past him. This looks close. That was a great shot played by Charles. Left himself on the pink as well. That's more like the Charles we know. Made a long red. Very difficult to judge the angle because the further that ball travels, the wider the angle becomes. You misjudge it by a millimeter, it turns out to be 4 at the end of the shot. So nicely played. Does the red pass the blue to the bottom left? It looks like it does. Yeah, comfortably passes to the bottom left. Now on a break of 8, it's 2 reds, reds valued at 1 point. So 2 of those reds along with 1 pink valued at 6 points, which puts him on 8. Successful. 4 reds remaining. The 4 reds in combination with the black is a total of 32 points plus the 27 colored remaining balls after that. Missed it though. Again, just makes a few balls and then makes a silly mistake. However, Jaden not being able to capitalize on that just yet. So 65 points the difference. $59 points on the table, so requiring 2 snookers at least. In essence, how we get to the value of the balls remaining on the table is we take the 4 reds, which is valued at 1 point each, And in conjunction with the black, that's valued at 7 points. The black is, however, very awkward at the moment, so I don't know if the black can be used, but the maximum number of points left on the table. So a red in conjunction with a black is 8 points. 4 in unison without missing will give you a total of 32. And then once all of the red balls are off the table, you then start by playing colors from yellow, then green, brown, blue, pink, and then the black is valued at a total of 27. Those added together would then give you a total of 59. So the difference of 65, normally a foul, depending on which ball the foul is committed on, is a minimum of 4. But if you make a foul on the black, you get awarded the points value of the black, which is 7. So value foul could be anything from 4 to 7. This is bad for Jaden because a red has been potted but couldn't follow that up with a color. That now makes it even harder. There's now 3 reds remaining. In conjunction with black is then 24, with the 27 color balls remaining on the table, then takes the difference to 51 balls on the table. Now Charles has potted a red, so I don't see Jaden returning to the table. Cue ball, cue ball, cue ball down, and there is a foul for Jaden. This might see Jaden return. He doesn't. So it is 2-0 in favor of number 1 seed Charles Jonk. This is the Advice Cube 2022 semi-final between Charles Jonk and Jaden. We'll take a quick break, just a breather, and we'll be back shortly with frame number 3. Mr. Stefan Steenekamp just about ready to get the match underway. We'll just make sure that the players are ready. We'll have the start of the 3rd frame. It is the Advice Cube Grand Prix for 2022. It is the semi-final. Semi-final 1 between Charles Jonk and Jaden Nobin. Semi-final 2 between Muttalib Ali and Fakhri Gerdin. Currently tied 1-1. However, Fakhri is leading far in frame 3. So he'll take that frame, taking it 2-1 in favor of Fakhri. 2-0 score at the moment over on the main table. Charles Jonk versus Jaden Nobin. Players just quickly taking a break again. As I said, Advice Cube 2022. Advice Cube is our main sponsor for this event. Advice Cube Insuring Assets. Please visit them on advicecube.co.za. They specialize in short and long-term insurance, as well as administrative and fiduciary services. So please get in touch with them. The contact number 0861732688, or visit them on advicecube.co.za. And we also have My Day Brands, the official refreshment sponsor of the Advice Cube Grand Prix. Very loyal supporters of Q Sports throughout. Mr. Diamutli and his team keeping the players refreshed and performing at their best. So a break off by Jaden. Couple of enticing reds for Charles to have a look at. Don't think he'll go for any of them. However, this is where you measure up the percentage of risk, because if he does make this red, he'll be on the black. Goes for it, a great shot. However, didn't play it to play on the black. He followed through enough to try and get the cue ball safe. However, just falling a little bit short, but fortunately for him, he played a beautiful red. That is a great shot to see. He's on the blue. So blue to the middle. Does he run into the cluster, or does he just play for? He does. That's great to see. Oh, fouled on the pink. That went horribly wrong. But it's great to see from Charles just a little bit of aggression coming through. It's actually something that I discussed at the previous event with Mr. Farad James, the president of SAPSA. Is something that we don't see often, is players playing the blue from its spot and running the cue ball into the reds, exactly as Charles did there. And Charles has not done it 3 times, so I don't maybe if Charles heard the commentary thereafter and thought about it, but it's not something we see quite often. Jaden almost making a hash of that, but a double kiss on the cue ball sends the red into the bottom right. But Jaden raising his hand in apology, obviously not intentional, but it's some great showing from Charles. Just positive play. That's what we try and encourage with the players. It's more entertaining for the viewers. You could see a separation of the reds. Then if Charles was able to get in and amongst these reds, he could surely cause some damage. And with taking that little bit of a break in between frames, I think Charles maybe said to himself, let's maybe show a little bit of aggression to the young Jaden Nobin and show him why I am the national champion and the undefeated pro snooker player, hasn't lost yet, seeded number 1. Just not going according to plan. Fouling on the pink, so 6 points awarded to Jaden, as well as the break of 8 that he's on at the moment. Mr. Stefan Steenekamp just having a look at spotting this black in position. Doesn't look like it goes on its spot. The rule then determines that it needs to go in a vertical line going from the brown, the blue, the pink to the black. The black needs to be in a vertical line as close as possible to its spot. So that's basically how Mr. Stefan worked that out. You can see the balls are going in a perfect line down the table. Brown, blue, pink, then the black. However, the black can't go on its spot. But Jaden can now dispatch this red that is obstructing the black spot and try and get back onto the black as well. No, he doesn't, but he does dispatch that blue confidently, but now hasn't really left himself on a color unless he can go for the green. Just depends on how close that red is to the cue ball. He's also got the option of playing the yellow or the brown, but those are a little bit more difficult to play for. Jaden's just looking at his options here. He's definitely lost control of the cue ball. Playing for the brown. Is he going to go for it? He's going to play safe. Jaden showing his respect to Charles, knowing that if he misses that brown cue ball, sending back to those reds, and then Charles could cause a lot more damage. But a distance now between the cue ball and the reds might keep Charles at bay. Or will he show us another blinder of a long red? As you can see there, Advice Cube, our main sponsor. As I said, please do get in touch with Advice Cube, advicecube.co.za, Advice Cube, insuring assets. Big thank you to them once again for being a part of this incredible event. Players are playing for a whopping 75,000 Rand, sponsored by Advice Cube. Jaden again with a red down. Now looking at his options on the colors, but again just showing his respect he has for Charles. Just plays the brown off the rail, tries and keep the cue ball as safe as possible. So leading at the moment. Charles has also, interestingly enough, not dropped a frame yet. 1-5-0-5-0, his first match against Brandon Galant. He won 5-0. He also beat Kiashan Moodley, number 8 seed Kiashan from Pretoria. Beat him 5-0. So hasn't dropped a frame yet. Charles will be one victory for Jaden if he can take a frame from Charles, and then needs to do that hopefully 5 more times to see his way through to the final to face either Mutalib or Fakhri. Fakhri has again taken the lead 2-1 against Mutalib. Charles with a long red. He's playing a little bit more confidently, but hasn't paid off yet. Now seeing Jaden with a cut on the red, does so successfully, but doesn't land on the black. Jaden definitely getting some opportunities in this frame, but not able to capitalize by potting a color. So just tapped onto the black, so cutting off all of the reds visible to Charles in a straight line of sight, so he'll need to make use of a rail to make contact with red. Charles just needs to be careful here. Jaden is in the lead. It is only 16 points. Could maybe see this red. Does he go for it though? Leave himself behind the black again. I could see quite enough of it, but didn't get back in behind the black as intended. Mr. Stefan Senekam just having a look if ball is touching the black. Jaden now looking at what his options are. Is this red onto the right middle? If it is, it's very difficult to play for. Not 100% sure what he went for. Definitely try to get the cue ball safe, and I don't think he has. Red is onto the bottom right corner pocket. So red successfully potted on the black, sending the cue ball towards the reds on the left. That is nicely played, good control of the cue ball. Now I've got an option on a few, looking at the pink, the red just below the pink spot. will now completely free up the pink. So, question is, when exactly will we see Charles starting to play his free-flowing game? Or will it be a close tussle the whole way through? Charles has not been able yet to completely dominate. As we can see there again, the break just breaking down. Again, apologies for the pun, but it's exactly what's been happening with Charles. He pots a ball or two, and then as soon as he has an opportunity to get some real momentum going, it just breaks down slightly. He'll want to get that cleared from his mind as quickly as possible. Nice red to the middle. Needs to then have a look at then getting onto the black, playing the black back onto its spot, and then get position onto his next red. You can see there, Jaden is left-handed. Quite often see snooker players being left-handed. But obviously the ideal would be to be ambidextrous, so being able to play with both left and right hands because of the size of the table. Again, Fakhri has now secured enough points, 70 points to 17. That is enough to secure this fourth frame, so it'll go to 3-1. Semi-finals have been going quite quickly. We've only played for an hour, and 4 frames already set to be completed over on our second stream quite shortly. Jaden at the moment in the lead, however, Charles back at the table. Charles will also want to get as much momentum as possible and feel good about his game as he did yesterday after that 116 break, which was incredible to watch. But at the moment, a lot of stop starts, and he won't want to play like this in the final, where he'll possibly then face Fakhri or Mutalib. But more importantly, so he needs to secure a spot in that final. Yes, he is leading 2-0, but not over yet. Jaden's still in with a shot. But, oh, complete miscue again. This tip playing a part now for Charles like it did yesterday. Yesterday it was beneficial. Oh, that's broken off. That tip has come off. Due to the commentary, can't see the full angle of the table. Not sure if Charles has left. Slightly cut off the line of where his chair is situated. But if that tip is damaged, Charles would need to make a plan as quickly as possible to get that sorted out. Played that shot with a lot of power. Jaden, however, set to continue. Red has been missed. However, Charles not making his way to the table, which tells me he is definitely doing some repairs. There we go. See Charles coming back. So just containing Jaden at the moment. Charles definitely wants to just settle down. Jaden wants to capitalize on this. This could be a big momentum shift. Neither of these players will give up without a fight. Not a great shot by Jaden. Don't think there'll be a lot of damage. All depends on what he's left Charles with. Just the containing shot, I believe. Indeed. Just floating it down using the green. Just a little bit too hard, even though he played it quite softly. Just a little bit too hard still. Just a bit of tactical play on display by both players. And just trying to contain the situation, Charles. He wants Jaden to get frustrated and go for a big one. And hopefully leave him on with one. Jaden, on the other hand, wants the opposite. He wants Charles to make that unforced error. But angle that red to go for it. Looks, oh, almost to the middle. Green helping out Jaden there, so Charles cannot play the red now closer to the green, to the middle pocket. Jaden back at the table. To buy this red. Looks like he's going to go for it. No, not going to leave anything with that shot. Does look like he has. Looks like he's left the red to the middle. Red to the middle. Nicely played. So red potted successfully by Charles. Now it needs a color. Yellow has been potted on two reds at the moment. Red to the top right looks a little bit easier. It's better by Charles. Does get position onto the blue. Does have the pink as well. He plays the pink, he could use the rail just to get above the red that's just to the right of the black. But Charles opting to rather go for the blue. In essence, achieves the same thing, but it's just a little bit more distance. Charles just grabbing the extension for his Q screws and just to lengthen the Q, just make it able to reach a little bit further without using the rest. Just makes it a little bit more comfortable. No luck. How's Jaden's luck? This looks good for Jaden. 4 points the difference with a break of 9. Charles still trailing 4 points. But a golden opportunity yet again for Jaden. Has potted the red. Options for both pink and blue. Difficult black. That question remains. He needs to deal with the 2 left reds. Also the 2 remaining reds, so no other options. Nice shot on the pink. Try to draw back into them, but nothing much to write home about after contact on those 2 reds. So again, we'll see a containing shot. Yeah, so it's always great to have you guys all join us for these matches. We really appreciate your viewership, and I know all of Charles' supporters following live greatly appreciated. I know he appreciates it as well, and I know Jaden also has his supporters. Please do join us for the remainder of the day. We will have the final start at just before 2 o'clock. We'll have an opening ceremony, and the final will start just before 2 o'clock, and then we will also be live on Cape Town TV from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. That's Cape Town TV channel 263. We're obviously live on Facebook. We are also live on YouTube. You can jump onto 360sports.co.za, and you can watch them on YouTube. Just find 360 Sport. Almost got unlucky with the cue ball there, Jaden. But 360 Sport on YouTube. Go and follow, subscribe to their channel there. They've also got a wide variety of other sport taking place there. So if you feel like watching some sport, that is one place to go. And then if you're not, please jump onto Facebook and also follow Pro Snooker to stay up to date with upcoming events as well as fixtures and news on ongoing events. Please go have a look. Pro Snooker on Facebook. You can also go to prosnooker.co.za. We really appreciate your support, and we hope that the players will entertain you thoroughly throughout the day. And as I said, semi-finals at Vice Cube Grand Prix. Charles Young versus Jaden Oben is on the main table. It's the match you're watching now. We also have Mutalib Ali. He's currently trailing 3-1. Fakhri in the lead there, 2 frames the difference. Cue ball almost. Jaden 2 times in a row now that he's flirted with the pockets with that cue ball. But as I said, viewers, much appreciated, and thank you so much for joining us. We are doing our best to try and grow the sport as far as we can, as quickly as we can. There's a big following of cue sport enthusiasts throughout South Africa, trying to bring you the best quality in terms of production. And I believe we are getting closer and closer by each event. As we can see, red being potted now. Charles try and regain this lead. Jaden has been leading throughout the majority of this frame. Is he going to get some luck? He is raising his hand there. Is this the momentum shift required by Charles in this frame to make it 3-0? Unfortunately, could not make the red, but again, another raise of the hand, as you saw there by Charles, accidentally snookering Jaden. The tricky part now is the position of that red is, it's right in the middle of the table. It is easier if the ball on, in this case, the red is closer to a rail, makes the area that you can play for a little bit bigger. That's now not the case, so could easily miss it. Doesn't though. Is he going to return the favour? Doesn't, but almost pots the yellow. Past 3 visits by Jaden, he's been flirting with foul balls or balls that would result in a foul with the pockets, and he's been lucky. Again, another good shot. Now the brown comes into play as well, along with that red. It wasn't a complete snooker. Jaden could still see a little hint of red sticking out from green. Another attempt at safety by Charles. Unsuccessful. A full ball view of the red. You could go for a safety pot where he goes for the ball to the bottom left and sends the cue ball running, which he has done. So knowing that if he makes it, great. If he doesn't, should again have some separation between the cue ball and red, which is exactly what Jaden did. But an easy return to safety for Charles. Nicely played. Charles asking Jaden some tough questions, giving him some hard work to do to hold on to the lead. That's down to 5 points now. And nicely played. The yellow will make things difficult for Charles, having to bridge over the yellow. However, will he go for this? He hasn't. Oh, and this is an opportunity, a great opportunity for Jaden. With the red to the middle. None of the colour balls, however, on their spots. All of them have been shifted. So 1 point allocated. Yellow hanging right over the pocket, but that'll only be 2 points, and he'll also need to think as to where he's going to end up after playing that yellow. So he'll probably end up to play for the blue. Blue to the left middle, then leave him on the yellow. Then the green. Brown is difficult. Pink is manageable. Black again difficult. You wouldn't need the black if he can pot his way through, but he would definitely need the brown. Has played a beautiful step shot on that blue to the middle. He's now on the yellow. Blue's been respotted. Again, makes bridging a little bit tricky. It does require the rest, but not just your standard rest because of where the blue is. You would need the extended rest, sometimes called... No, it looks like he's happy with just the normal rest, not the gooseneck. Yellow has been played out of the pocket. So 11 points now, the difference 27 on the table. Will Jaden show us that Charles is human by taking away a frame? And Can Jaden then punish Charles by beating him in the semi-final? Unfortunately not. Charles can see a little bit of this yellow. Can he see enough to pot it? If he does, is he confident enough to take it on? No, could not see enough. Wants to get in behind that blue. Cue ball just comes out far enough for Jaden to not be a snooker. But again, hasn't left him with anything easy. Nicely played though. So we need to play green and then brown. That brown is awkward. Yeah, that looks good by the way he played position there. It does look like the brown will go to the middle pocket. Nicely played. 18 points left on the table. Difference is 20, so Charles now requires a snooker with an easy blue. Oh no. Charles, is he coming back to the table? He is indeed. 20 points difference. Snooker required by Charles, as there's only 8 on the table. 5, 6, and 7 points in that order. Blue 5, pink 6, black 7. So will Charles get that foul, or will we see the scoreline go to 2-1? Again, missed it. You'll see Jaden going for more shots now, seeing that chances are Charles won't just try and make a ball just because it's there, because that leaves him with less opportunities to score a snooker. Or this could be the shot required by Jaden. He just needs to make this blue, and I don't think Charles would come back. It's also fine again. Charles does not want to pot this ball with a difference of 20. 3 balls on the table with a cue ball. Makes snooker a little bit easier. However, getting a snooker with only 2 balls on the table. Good effort by Charles. Slightly hampered by the pink, but I think he can still see enough of the blue. Again, trying to get that safety, or rather the snooker, but unsuccessfully so. Charles also needs to bear in mind that if he does get a snooker, he'd also need to pot the black. Jaden would need some positivity. Only needs 1 ball. Again, Charles trying all the tricks in the book. Jaden taking his chances. He's left that blue in the pocket. Can Charles get it out of there? Or does he play for it? He does. So he's now going to try and use the pink and the black. And try and use them to get a snooker. Still does need both pink and black. Jaden only needs them. This is a very good shot played by Charles. This could be the shot that he's looking for. I've not seen a successful... There we go. That is exactly what Charles wanted. We have not seen this before in Pro Snooker, where a player is able to enforce a foul to then win the frame after acquiring snookers. This is from my perspective. Not sure if it's happened on any of the other tables yet, but first time on one of my streams. So very good safety played by Charles. Got the 4 points he needed. He'll still try and contain Jaden enough. That's not a great shot by Charles. Yes, it's not easy, but Jaden in the lead. No reason for him to not take this on. Should have been a lot more difficult. Oh, so close. Is he gonna get lucky? Is he? Oh, so close again on both occasions. That's a little bit better. Again, can still see the pink clearly, but not easy, especially with the cue ball so tight and close to the rail. Again, tough, but now Charles no longer requires snookers. If he pots both the pink and the black, it'll take him to 58. Jaden just needs one of these. Will he smash this pink in? Again, doesn't need to smash it. Just roll it in. Oh, so close. But now this is cuttable. It is fine, but it is cuttable. This is very close. This is very tough. Yeah, it doesn't look like Charles is going to go for the cut. I'm going to try and get the cue ball out of there. Misses the jaw. Some tempting shots for Jaden. He just needs one of them. We've seen them make these shots before, but a lot of pressure on these now. It's the difference between 3-0 and 2-1. Oh, again, so close. Is he lucky? He's lucky. Fluked it. Pink to the middle. 2-1. Congratulations, Jaden. First frame that Charles has conceded. We're going to take a quick break. Charles doing some repairs on that cue now. He'll definitely not be happy. Some damage to his tip. We'll try and get an update as to exactly what happened. But for now, we're just going to take a 30-second breather, and we'll be back with you shortly. Jaden, well done, young man. 2-1, we have a semi-final on our hands. Our experienced team of highly trained industry professionals understand exactly what your needs are, whether it is your family, your personal assets, or your business. Get in touch with AdviceCube today. AdviceCube, insuring assets. AdviceCube is a registered financial service provider. Alright, and we are back. 2-1. Charles has finally conceded a frame in this AdviceCube Grand Prix. We have a semi-final on our hands, or is this the wake-up call Charles needed? Yes, it was a fluke, but Jaden was in the lead for the majority of that frame. Deserved to win it. Charles has not been playing like himself. So is this the wake-up call Charles needed? Red made. Black, however, will send the cue ball towards the reds. Not guaranteed to be on anything. But will we see some aggression from Charles? Is he just going to leave the cue ball behind the black? No, a little bit of aggression shown, however, not successful in potting the black. Jaden gets to have a look at the table again. Awkward, 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 as I said there, just the trajectory of the cue ball after playing the black sends it towards the reds, and you could be tied up in amongst them with not a red on. Is he just going to nudge it? Yep, just nudges it. Charles, I'm sure, won't return the nudge. I'll think he'd try and get that cue ball out of there and back into bulk, and that's exactly what he looks to be doing. That is it. Frees up one red. And almost gets behind the brown. In yesterday's quarterfinal match, as well as the first of the top 16, we saw Jaden going for a lot of shots. But showing some discipline here. Jaden's been playing this well, yes. He has also been battling a big break, but he's made the right decisions at the right times in terms of not just going for everything. It was a big talking point yesterday after his match. That, yes, sometimes it does work out, but a lot of the times, more often than not, it doesn't. You need to take calculated risks. That almost went horribly wrong for Charles. That cue ball rattled and almost went into the bottom right, but worked out okay. Jaden at some points yesterday was also not staying down and keeping still on his shots. He's moving around quite a bit, so you'll see, for example, Charles now, he'll play the shot and then come up slowly. I mean, the ball's already left his Q-tip, and only after a good second, maybe a second and a half, does he only start moving. wants to stay still as possible. We'll compare this now with Jaden. The previous shot I had a look, and it looks like he was staying quite still. So let's see what he plays for and exactly what he does. Especially look at the head, because that is what you use to aim. Had the privilege of having Mr. Rafiq Lambada, the SA national head coach, and commentary with me at the previous event in the final. And he was actually pointing out to me that Fakhri over in the other semi-final has a very, very slight head movement. You can see there a bit of body movement by Jaden. Yes, he was trying to generate quite a bit of power, and he has made the ball, but it just brings in some possibilities to create points of failure. Nicely played. Blue in the middle. He's now got another red to the middle as well. And should be able to hold for the blue once again. Let's have a look on the side-on angle as he plays. That's a lot better by Jaden, but does get up quite a bit quicker compared to Charles. But that's probably down to rhythm and how you're feeling. A lot of players enjoy playing at quite a brisk speed. It sets the momentum, and they try and maintain that momentum. Has made the blue, and he's on another red. So break of 12 at the moment. 2 reds and 2 blues. This red, nicely played. Loosens up the black, but position on the black is really not favorable for Jaden. So I can't see him going for this black unless he just uses it to get the cue ball safe. There's no harm in just leaving the black over the pocket. It's not like Charles can straight off the bat try and get there. You could see there exactly what I was referring to. Jaden almost jumping up after playing it. Yes, the cue ball was quite close to the black, so he needs to get the cue out of the way. Again, you'll see how still Charles remains after playing the shot. That was a nice looking stroke by Charles. He's on the blue and he's on the black. Will Charles do some damage in this visit? He doesn't. Charles is not happy with how he's playing at the moment. We have not seen a pro snooker final without Charles. We have not seen a pro snooker trophy lifted without Charles. Is this the first occasion at the Advice Cube Grand Prix? Will Jaden pull off, which some would consider the impossible? So red made on the black now, and a black made. So break on 8 right now. But position there looks a little bit as if the cue ball ran a bit too far. Difference currently 19, but still a lot of balls left on the table in this frame. Bear in mind, 4 more frames still required by Jaden. Containing shot once again by Charles. Has he done enough to block this red to the middle? I don't think he has. Jaden is straight on it. If it does not make it, Shot with the red to the bottom left. Again. Doesn't work out. He had great position on the black. But he's left the red on. Once again for Jaden. So Jaden will want this break to just go on its merry way. Try and make it as easy as possible for himself. Does look like he has a loose red just at the bottom of the cluster, just to continue with the break after making this red to the middle. On the blue nicely as well. Wanted a little bit more of an angle. In essence, the cue ball to run a little bit more. Does look like he's on the lower end of the blue. So he'd need to try and get onto the red. Opted to rather just make the blue. Just make sure of the blue and just play at the loose red at the bottom. Even if the distance is a little bit more than he wanted. Oh, very close. Almost a very nice looking shot by Jaden. Played a beautiful plant spotted there by Charles. That pays off when you pay close attention to the layout within that cluster. Looked at it and it worked out perfectly for him. I think he's now going to, yep, play it in behind that brown. Now tying things up, he's asking Jaden to split open those reds. Jaden will want to slow roll this in. Needs to be careful not to give away any points. Oh, does it pass straight through that gap? Charles will ask him straight away just to replace that ball. Go for that shot again, young Jaden. Got very close there, but hit that gap. So it does. He again through the exact same gap. What is the odds? Great angle we got from the cameraman there. Just to see exactly where that cue ball was going. I'm sure this third time Jaden will hit them. But doesn't want to leave Charles on with anything. He has made contact. What is the damage? Apart from the 4 points conceded for the fouls. The 4 and another 4, so a total of 8 points conceded. And that was a good looking shot by Charles. A lot of distance the red had to cover before reaching the back of the pocket. Nicely on the black with angle just to get the cue ball back up onto the reds. And there we go. Scoreline looking a bit better now for Charles. 35 points to 19. Still trailing though. 16 points the difference. A lot of reds still on the table to play for. He's following through slightly with the cue ball after potting the red just to get onto the black. And again, doesn't want to be perfectly straight on this. They can either play a bit of side and come up towards the blue as he's done. Let's see, he added a little bit of side just to get the cue ball just to run a little bit. Again, wants to run through with the cue ball. No, he's drawing back. Actually, he's playing low down on the cue. From that angle, looked like he was trying to draw, and I didn't understand why, but he followed through slightly again just to get onto the black. They'll now probably look to play the top red to the middle pocket if it does pass. No, again, just playing for loose red, but has he overran position now? But in very quick time, Charles has evened the scores, 35 points each. Again, follow through, same thing, rinse and repeat, get on that black. Oh, he's missed it though. And he's left Jaden with a complete sitter. I'll grab for the rest once again. So Jaden needs to be careful. This is a bit of a stretch now for him. Oh, almost didn't make it. It's red did a bit of rattling before it went in. Almost at the 2-hour mark. Now the red has gone down. Break on 9 at the moment. This is very interesting. Jaden makes this 2-2. Jaden looking quite sharp. Great position on the pink once again. After this pink, he needs to now get the cue ball down to the yellow. But he's quite straight on this pink. 51 to 35, still anyone's game. So 57 now the difference. Oh, sorry, not the difference, 57 to 35. The difference currently on 22, 27 on the table. Jaden requiring the long extension. As well as the long cue to get this yellow. Don't think he'll actually play to pot it. He'll probably try and put it safe somewhere. However, the yellow could be quite important, but you can see that he's not lining up to pot it. He's going to try and put it safe. And a good shot. Charles should be able to reach this, but he needs to be careful if he concedes a foul. That'll be 27 the difference then, which means Charles will require all of them to tie the scores up. 61 each. Oh, he's missed that completely. So this will put Jade 27 on the table. If Charles gets, no, he's asked him to replace it. Lacking a little bit of confidence there. So another 4 points will put Jaden on 65. If Charles gets all of the colors, all 27 of them, he'll be on 62, winning by 1. So there we go. Is he lucky? Oh, so close. No, he's left it on. He's left it on. So Jaden just needs this yellow, and Charles will require snookers. Lot of focus on this yellow. Now 63. Now only 25 left on the table, so Charles will require snookers. But there's 5 balls left on the table, so quite a bit of hiding space. So Jaden will want to get at least the green and the brown dispatched as quickly as possible. So Jaden to show some aggression, even though I don't think left with an easy shot at all. I think the green does pass the brown to the corner. So can Charles conjure up another snooker? Barely touch the green. Jaden leaving the green on. So with only 25 on the table, Charles can only get 260. So you'll definitely not see him try and clear out the table. As you could see there, hiding behind the black and sending the brown towards the pink. This is a successful snooker. I don't think Jaden can see the brown at all. As confirmed by the camera angle, obstructed by both the black and the blue. So he'll be kicking at this one rail. Does make contact. So Charles again will be going for another snooker. Hiding spot behind the black and the blue is getting quite big now. So Charles will either try and get the cue ball or the brown into that spot. Attempted by Charles just to get the cue ball in there, but didn't work out. So with the brown in and amongst the blue and the black, this could assist Charles in making things more difficult for Jaden, but needs a lot of control and work out. Just wanted to get onto the left-hand side of the blue, but hit the blue full on. If he hit the blue on the left-hand side, it would have sent the cue ball in behind the black. Trying to contain Charles' attempts to secure snookers. Unsuccessful. Charles can see the brown full ball. Just wants to try and get in behind. Oh no, that is a foul. Charles not giving up though. I do not see Charles now returning after that brown has been dispatched. Blue will guarantee it. There we go. 2-all. And the hard work being done by young Jaden Nobin in the semi-final against Charles Jonk. Great job, and we will yet again have another break.
Play it your way with My Day.
So we're back to frame number 7. Remember, it's a best of 9, or the first to get to 5. And this could possibly be our last frame. And we could possibly see 3 more frames. It was 3 frames.
So the man of the moment to break us off in the 5th frame. Score's currently 2-all. Still a lot to play for. Both of these players will now be aware that time is now also of the essence. Sessions are limited to 3.5 hours So what would happen is it's now just after 12:05, just after 12:05, 6 after 12 as I've got it on my watch. So about an hour and 24 minutes remaining. So scenario A, if scores are, for example, 4-3 in favor of Jaden, for example, Jaden will win. If at the end of the 3.5 hours the scores are 4-all, but Charles is leading with 12 points to 6, Charles will win, but they first look at the frame count. So if you are leading in frames, you would then win the match at the end of the 3.5 hours. If the frames are level, as they are now on 2-2, they would look at the points difference. And if you have more points than your opponent, it will go down to the person with the most points. Charles has also been in a couple of those matches, both of them against Fakhri over on our second stream, who's going strong at the moment. He's leading 4-2 against Mutalib Ali. The one occasion was at the Gold Reef City event that took place, where Charles inched out Fakhri with a beautiful long black in the very last seconds to secure his win. That was in a final, and then there was a second final also against Fakhri where that took place. That was the UGB Masters. However, he beat Fakhri convincingly at the Town Classic. That took place in May, shortly after winning the title. So Charles will definitely not want to put himself in that position. A massive separation of the clusters now. But we'll see. Charles just keep this cue ball at the bottom end of the table and lock young Jaden down as tight as possible, leaving him with nothing. Jaden, on the other hand, knows that he is frustrating Charles. And a great shot by Jaden. Charles not able to lock down Jaden tight enough by playing a soft shot on the red. So will we see Jaden fire and take the lead for the first time in this match? It was 1-0 for Charles. Jaden made it 1-1. Then went 2-1 in favor. Jaden's now again made it 2-2. So will he be able to stop that momentum and make it 3-2 in favor of himself? Or will Charles have the final say and make it 3-2? Red potted on the brown now. There's a nice looking red close to the right middle. Charles can play at next, which he has. Get not much required of the cue ball. Stops it in its tracks for the blue to the middle. There's a couple of reds that he can now work around. What a statement this would be if Charles can put together another century. He made a beautiful 116. No, it's still early days. Breaker's only still fairly young. Break of 11 right now, with another red to the middle. Also has a red to the bottom right. This is where that cue ball control gets so important. You could either play for the pink to the left middle, or you could play for the black. He is playing for the black. Charles needs to make sure of this. Rather going for the pink. Pink missed though. He's opened the door once again after a break of 12 for Jaden to come back to the table and just regain the lead. One must say, Fakhri over on our second stream is looking quite good after a tough battle against his coach and good friend Rafiq Lambada. Jaden currently on 6 for his break, 7 total points. Will this be another back and forth tussle? Jaden has a lot to be proud of. He's putting up a big fight against the number 1 seed Charles Jung. One also has to bear in mind that Jaden is no slouch. He is ranked number 5 in terms of seeding positions within Pro Snooker. He's actually had a discussion about this morning. Jaden fighting hard and climbing up the rankings within Pro Snooker, however, missing out there. Another missed attempt by Charles. Jaden having a close look to see what Charles left him. Looking at a red to the middle, just needs to pick which one. It looks like the 3 reds, as well as the 4th one. He's going for the one lowest. No, he's showing a lot of maturity here. Tempting red right by the black for Charles. He's looking at that now. Very close. Hit the jaw, but not close enough. Bit of favor going the way of Charles Jung with the pink and the blue. Cutting off the loose red on the left. However, there's a line. No, I thought Jaden was going for a completely different red there, but ran into the traffic. Now with red available to the middle. Red to the middle, potted. Negotiated the traffic well enough to get onto the black. Also has an option of the red that's now hanging just to the bottom left if he does make this black. Charles having to be very careful not to disrupt the balls and make contact with his body. Nice stroke there by Charles. He is on to the red that I was referring to. Or is he? Has that black? No, it looks okay. Came out well. Needs to slow down a little bit. Doesn't want too much of an angle on the black. Quite a few options of reds that he can play on next. Nicely played. Something that these players do practice a lot is playing the black off of its spot from various angles, so that wouldn't have been an unfamiliar shot for Charles to play. And unfortunately, staying out that red, and again brings an end to Charles' break. Was starting to look a little bit better. Tough on Jaden once again. Ball staying out, bringing back Charles.
You think it's going to be a safety battle between these two for a bit?
Staying out, but more importantly, leaving it for Jaden.
Hanging on with his teeth to this. Probably just waiting for that small.
Jaden making quick work of that red getting onto the black.
Same as well.
Again, won't be too worried about making the black. Yes, it is important, but he'll be thinking about position as well. Oh, misses the black. And again, the red right at the bottom of the cluster of the four reds does go to the bottom left. Opportunity available for Charles. Also looks like the red to the middle is an option for him. Another point awarded for Charles. Blue is an option, but would need to send it into bulk and back out again just to get closer to the reds. Black can be cut, but it's a bit awkward. He's opted to go for the blue to the middle. Stays out though. Tough long red and up ahead for Jaden.
From 2:30 we're gonna be on channel 263. See Town TV on 263 from 2:30 to 5:30. So please join us there.
Another point awarded to Charles. He now really needs to show some impotence and make this work. Cannot allow for his break to continue to break down. Exactly like that. It's been the tail of the tape for Charles this whole entire semi-final. Make a ball, make a colour, miss a ball. Low scoring breaks from a gentleman that yesterday scored 116 with a broken tip. He's definitely not happy about something. I know that he was able to repair his tip yesterday, got a replacement tip and replaced it. But we saw an incident earlier on, I think it was in the second frame, where he again was not happy with something on the cue. And an odd shot played by Charles there. Already played for, he was going to run into traffic, unless he wanted to hit it a lot finer than he did. Get an opportunity for Jaden. Yes, Charles is in the lead at the moment. But you want to keep your opponent seated for as long as possible. Slip played to the corner pocket. So yet another red potted. Now Charles will follow this up with a blue to the middle. Holds for either one of the two reds to either the left or the right bottom corner pockets. Decided to opt for the right corner pocket, which would then lead him to play for the black. Getting a little bit closer now to securing this frame. But it's been scrappy. Fakhri has already made his way through to the final. And Fakhri was playing a lot better than he did yesterday. So both of these players would need to take it up a notch if they were to beat Fakhri in the final. If we are comparing the way that both of these players are, well, these players as a whole are playing. We just look at the last performances, and as it stands right now, Fakhri has now become the favorite. Put together some nice looking breaks against a very strong opponent, Mutalib Ali. Mutalib has won various titles throughout his illustrious career. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's been playing for 27 years. And I think he said that he has won a total of 19 titles in those 27 years. National titles, doubles titles, classic titles, 6 red titles. So a strong performance being shown there by Fakhri to beat him 5-2. This is now looking again a little bit better by Charles. Wants to dispatch this last red and get onto the black. The red also works if he does miss the black. It's only 27 on. Difference in points is 49. So quite a few snookers then required. But the black guarantees it now for Charles to then make it 3-2. So that is the end of the frame. Jaden will remain seated. Scores are now 3-2 in favor of Charles Young. So we are definitely in for a big fight in the semi-final Please stay tuned. We have around about an hour left in this match, so still a lot of action in store. We'll see you shortly. Thanks, everyone. So we have the start of our 6th frame underway in a very close encounter between Charles Jonk and Jaden Noben, seeded number 1 and 5 respectively. Jaden has been putting up good performance, and he showed a lot of maturity that we didn't see yesterday. Yesterday he was gunning for a lot, but now he's made some clever decisions and going for tactical shots rather than aggressive shots. He's definitely frustrated Charles. Charles not playing like we used to seeing him play. That's a bit of a wild shot. That's a very wild shot. Yes, you can play that sort of shot, but play it a lot softer and get the cue ball back into bulk. Don't know if there's a lot of damage, but as I was saying, Jaden showing a lot of maturity. He really went for that one. Charles loosening up some reds, and as you see there, still played it to get the cue ball back into bulk. But it looks like there's a red onto the middle. Again, Jaden working out if it is worth the risk. And if you reckon that he could get onto the black. Was he playing for the long red down to the bottom left? No, he was playing for the one I thought he was going to play to the middle. There's now a red to the right of the cluster, the closest to the cluster on the right hand side. That will go down to the bottom right. There's also a red just to the right of the cluster, very close to the cluster, that looks like it could also go. Nicely played by Charles, confident stroke there. Again, as you see, Charles not just leaving the cue ball at the top of the table. If he were to have missed that red, would have not made things easy for Jaden. So not a lot of time left in this match. Doubt that we will see it go all the way unless Charles manages to string together a couple of high breaks. It is now 31 minutes past 12, so just under an hour left. Just asking the match official, Mr. Stefan Steenkamp, just to clean the cue ball for him. On the blue, an opportunity from the blue to run into the cluster, but there's enough loose reds for Shawl to work with, so I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. Nicely onto the pink, to the bottom left as well. Showing some nice cue ball control. Again, breaking out a few reds again. Pink going back onto its spot. Just cueing here not to touch that pink. Gets onto the black nicely as well. If he makes this black, it'll take the break to 26. He does. Perfectly onto his next red as well. Just little soft touches and little nudges doing the trick at the moment for Shawl. Again, nicely played. Break of 34 right now. He is on another red to the bottom left once again. Shawl now cueing quite nicely. Angle from the black to the bottom right will send the cue ball towards that cluster of reds, just breaking out a few more. Don't see him gunning for it too hard, because he does have the red closest to the cue ball that he can play into. So he does take out a red from that cluster and he leaves himself on the next one. Once again, just connecting these dots one at a time. Taking his time. Doing some good work. Another black potted, and he's now onto the red right at the bottom of the cluster to the bottom left again. Doing well for his 50 break. Eight reds in total with 4 blacks, 1 brown, 1 blue and 1 pink. Going for his 5th black now, which will take his break to 58. Nicely played. Position is okay, not ideal. But he does have another red. He's been dealing with the corner pockets in quick succession. Foul committed. That is unfortunate. Break comes to an end. 4 points awarded to Jaden. Not sure exactly what happened there. Might have just tipped the cue ball with his Q-tip. Maybe his cue touched one of the reds. Would have been very unfortunate. But sees Jaden back at the table. But a very good break of 58 by Charles. Jaden would need to respond with his own break. Two tough reds as I can already spot them. There's the one just below the black and the one furthest to the right. Aren't great. Nicely played to the middle. Position onto the black. Does Jaden now try and take the cue ball into that red that is slightly awkward and just bring it off of the rail a little bit more than it is right now just to make it a little bit easier. Just needs to be careful as to where he makes contact on that red. Does he play to completely avoid it? Has played to run into it, but he's missed the black. This is a golden opportunity for Charles now to just lock this frame down. You can see no time and hesitation to get back to the table. Nicely cued. He's onto the blue, he's onto the black as well, but I think he might play for the blue and follow through. He does. Follows through to get onto the red just below the pink spot. On 64 at the moment. So already snookers required by Jaden. Again, nicely played, and it looks like Charles in very quick time has now secured his fourth frame. Jaden, however, is allowed to come back to the table and play for snookers. But that should secure the frame for Charles now, irrespective if he misses or not. On 72. Difference of 59. Beautiful. Oh, almost thought that was in. That looked like a very good shot, but Jaden remains seated, and that is 4-2, ladies and gents. No, Jaden is coming back. Jaden decides that this is still within reach. I'm sure we will see some aggression from Charles with the middle of the three reds to the bottom right-hand corner pocket, because that will definitely guarantee it. No, he doesn't go for it. Jaden on a red, needs a high color along with it. You cannot make the red and not make a high color. He's perfectly on the black though, so that is a perfect start for Jaden. Some good snooker on display in this frame. However, the difference still pretty telling. It's at 58 at the moment. Not sure why he played that so hard. In behind the brown, so he has now achieved his first snooker attempt of Shaw. So Shaw would now try and get out of this without handing a foul back to Jaden. Elevating the cue slightly so he can put some swerve on the cue ball to touch the red. That is a foul, 4 points. Beautiful red being played by Jaden. Definitely a star in the making. He hasn't been playing snooker all that long, but he's definitely put up a fight. Again, another nice black to the bottom right. The red that I was referring to earlier is still very awkward. So he'll be going for another snooker. $35 left on the table. Would not be enough to see him through, even though he has secured 4 points from a snooker already. But he does need another one. Nice response by Shaw. But does Jaden play this in a way where he tries and kicks this red in, or does he just try and move it? Oh no, that is it. Oh, that is a horrible, horrible, horrible turn of events for Jaden. 4 points awarded now. Again, 2 snookers required. Charles just needs this red. Again, Jaden back at the table. Again, Charles has set a pretty nasty trap for him. He would play in the line of where the pink is to play one rail to get to the red, but the pink is in the way. If he plays to the left, there's quite a bit of traffic that he would need to navigate. He is going towards the left. And he misses it. Charles, that is 7, concedes. I would say that Jaden concedes here. He has good effort, young man, but just not enough. So that makes it 4-2. Charles on the hill. Jaden putting up a massive fight. This is the Advice Cube Grand Prix. So much action. Just want to work it in and say a big thank you again for Advice Cube for their sponsorship. Advice Cube, ensuring assets. If you care about tomorrow, call Advice Cube today. Just a quick break once again. We'll be back shortly. Thanks, everyone. So we are back in the semi-final. It's been enthralling throughout. Jaden has been putting up a massive fight against Charl Jong, but Charl has now gained quite a bit of momentum. He only needs one more frame to see his way through to yet another final. Jaden needs 3. The problem now for Jaden is time is not on his side. We have roughly about 45 minutes, just under 45 minutes left, 43 minutes for Jaden to get minimum of 2 frames to tie the frame count up to 4-4. And then he needs a couple of points in the 9th and final frame. However, is 45 minutes, less than 45 minutes now, just under 42 minutes left in this session. Will that be enough time for Jaden? But it has been exciting to watch. The young man has a lot to be proud of. He has really frustrated Charl on quite a few occasions throughout this match. Nice shot being played by Charl. Sends the red back to the bottom of the table with the cue ball in bulk. Some aggression being shown by Jaden. This could either work or go against him. Charl will try and attempt one of these reds and play it in such a way to send the cue ball back into bulk. He doesn't. Does he leave Jaden on with anything? So combination shot not working out for Jaden. Brings back his opponent Charl to the table. There is a red on the rail. It can be cut to the bottom left, but not worth the risk, as it is a very difficult shot. Charl rather opts to get the cue ball back into bulk, but a shot on for Jaden to the bottom right. This will also send the cue ball back up the table. Not far enough though. Medium length red for Charl up for grabs. Charl having a look to see if the black passes the red closest to it, just to the right of it, to the bottom right. Unsuccessful pot attempt by Charl. One would almost say, just see what Jaden is playing at. Didn't see that that red goes. Well played, but he hasn't left himself a shot on the black. Didn't see that that red was going. I thought that the only shot that he had was to play for the red that is in bulk. At least has the green in the pocket that he can play for. Will he get onto the red that is in bulk? No, he's not. It's obstructed by the brown. So an opportunity for Jaden goes a-begging again. But he is leading 4-0. Definitely needs to pick up the pace though. Playing for the cluster of reds. How is your luck? Can Charles get through this gap and get to the red? It's just hanging over the pocket. From my perspective, he should be able to get to it. Does look like he is playing for it. No, he's not. Oh, but he flukes a red into the middle. Big smile by Charles. How's your luck, Charles? Doesn't get onto the black, though. Bit of fortune going towards Jaden. Very difficult for Charles to now get this cue ball safe, because he needs to play a color. He can't play on a red. Only color that he can see is the black. So he'll need to be a bit creative here to get the cue ball safe again. Can't see him risk playing for the black to the top left. It's a very difficult shot to go for. Half attempted double by Charles, but more so just trying to not give Jaden a clear shot for the red that's hanging over the pocket. But could play a combination if he doesn't have a clear shot at that red. Play one red on top of the other, which he has done quite confidently as well. Again, I don't think he's great in terms of position. Attempted the black to the middle pocket, stayed out though. Red up for grabs in bulk now for Charles. Low scoring frame points in this frame thus far. 7th frame. Charles is on the hill. He just needs this frame. It is a best out of 9. First player to reach 5. Cute that nicely. Opting to go for the brown. Charles very careful with his body position. Has nudged the black, but missed the brown. Fortunately, the black is covering one of the reds to the bottom left, but I think the one to the right-hand side does still cut in. Doesn't have to play this too hard. Wants to get onto the blue. Runs past it. At least there are more color options for him to play at. Reasonably easy yellow to the middle available. The jaw and stayed out though. He's gotten position on the red, but unfortunately he has missed the yellow. So another opportunity for Charles. Showed us a nice break of 58 in the previous frame. Also shown us the highest break of the tournament thus far of 116 yesterday against Kyash and Redley. He's missed that. It's okay though, hasn't left a red on. So again, Jaden just sending the cue ball back into the bulk area. Oh, that is beautifully played by Charles. That'll definitely be acknowledged by Jaden. Right behind the yellow. Fortunately for Jaden, there's a lot of reds to go for, but could be damaging in terms of what he leaves Charles on with. That is a great shot. The one red, if you could choose one to play onto, it is that one. Yes, there are still reds available for Charles to play at, but none of them are easy. If he just aimed for the big cluster of reds and the cue ball ended up right there in the middle, there would have been a few options for Charles to look at. Now he is left with a one to the left middle or to the top right. He is opting for the first option. He didn't even go for the shot. Just again trying to get that cue ball in behind that yellow. Charles getting very close to that. Nicely played by Jaden. Just not been able to add onto the break after potting the red exactly as it happened there. Just missing the black. It's been fortunate, hasn't left Charles with anything. It's easy for Charles to then get right in and stuck in amongst the reds. Does have one to the middle that he's playing onto now. Options of all three ball colors. You can play the green to the middle, brown to the top right, yellow to the top left. It'll all be down to angles and position, what he can use to get back to the reds, or is he going to use one of them to try and contain Jaden again? But it does look like he's going for the brown. Letting his arm loose, as you could see there. Getting some reaction from the cue ball. It's still quite a lot of distance for him to cover to his next red. About 30 minutes left in the session. The final will start just before 2 o'clock. We do have some opening proceedings, just the opening ceremony to cover as well. So with only 30 minutes to play, Jaden will need a minimum of 2 frames in the 30 minutes, which will be a tough asking. He's been playing some beautiful shots. That red is incredibly hard to play. But again, just on another color, he's just not able to add enough pressure in terms of break building. Speed things up and get a nice flow going. It's been stop-starts the whole way through in this frame. Contact far too thick by Charles on that red. But the blue and pink looks like it has come to the rescue. Only play onto the red furthest to the left by the looks of things. Does require the extension. He is cutting the cluster of 2, the one furthest to the left. And again, beautifully played. Come on, Jaden, is there anything that you can show us with less than 30 minutes to go to get 2 more frames in, as well as a few points in the 9th frame to get through? He's been putting up such an incredible fight. Back onto another red to the bottom right. If you can hold it for the black, that'll also help. Requires the long rest and cue for this red. Makes it very tricky. He's held it for the black and he's potted the red. So he's achieved what he set out to achieve. Now needs to make the black move on to the next red. Red just to the right of the cue ball. Looks like a good option. Can just come off of the rail. Enough to play that red into the bottom right. A little bit of an angle and you can get back onto the black again. Oh, but he's missed the black. Option of a red to the left middle for Charles. Can also cut back the red to the bottom right. That'll send the cue ball flying though. And could get position onto the blue if he times it well enough. Could also get onto the pink. Could see Charles making this. Oh, the angle is even worse than I thought. Very fine cut, played at a lot of pace and didn't move into the pocket with a lot of brisk pace. And you can just see Charles tying up Jaden here behind the green. Again, you can see there, drop of the head by Jaden. He knows that he's left Charles now onto this red to the bottom left, and the black is also right there. Red and a color will give the lead to Charles. Playing onto the pink. The pink will do. That'll pass the lead back to Charles. 25 minutes remaining. One would say this is now out of reach of Jaden. Question is just now, will Charles finish up this frame before the end of the 25 minutes? I'm sure he will want to have a little bit of a break before the final starts, but I cannot honestly see within 24 minutes Jaden putting together two frames to make it 4-all. Charles will not be happy with how the semi-final has gone. Misses the pink though. So can Jaden show us with a red to the middle? There's one more red by the black that is still required by both of these players. But can he show us some brilliance? Doesn't have to do much with that red just to get onto the pink. She has done. He is onto the red. But this is in no means an easy shot. Yes, it is perfectly straight, but just a hint of touch on the rail and the pocket will deny this red. This needs to be perfect by Jaden. As I said, it's so tough, but he is hidden behind the black now. Charles also obstructed by the pink. So he will need to swerve off of the rail. Successful contact. He's left onto the red once again. Even if Jaden can make this red to the middle with a color and then clear up the colors, he only has around about 20 minutes. Oh, he misses it. Around about 20 minutes, I think he's going to leave this red on. No, just lucky, just lucky. It could go to the top right. And it does. Charles decides not to risk it. He's just going to tie Jaden down, making sure there's no chance for Jaden. Jaden in the lead, just slightly though. Charles back at the table. Again, he'll just want to contain Jaden, not leave him anything. Maybe even milk a few fouls if possible. That's ideal. And this is tricky. This is tricky. That is a foul on the blue 5. I'm curious to know why he didn't go to the right-hand rail. The rail on the left-hand side. Blue going back onto its spot. You can see there we go. Referee just consulting with the players. But if you look at where the cue ball's going, one would say that going to the rail on the right-hand side would be the better option, because coming from the top, that blue is constantly a threat. You only need one rail when you're going to the right-hand side. That'll be the player's left-hand side. Looks like he's going the same route once again. This could very well be another 5 points or 4. But it's not legal contact made. Shot there by Jaden. Shaw leaving the rest on the table for Jaden, as it will be required by him as well. About 18 minutes left in the session. It'll be next to impossible for Jaden to win this match, but one has to compliment him for the effort that he has put in. Fakhri will also note that Charles is now putting in a long session, and there's definitely some mental and physical fatigue involved with such a long session. Advantage, Fakhri. Very close there by Charles. That red almost going in. Charles will also now know that he's all but guaranteed a spot in the final once again. Jaden will know this as well, but not willing to just concede. Red, still a problem for both of these players. But only about 15 minutes left. We do know that the match has already reached its conclusion. I do also note that I have the production team and all the supporting staff standing by in bated breath, waiting for this match to finish, because the final is set to start just before 2 o'clock, but we also have an opening proceeding scheduled to take place, just welcoming all of the spectators and guests. So that we would need to get out of the way as well. So as we see, the red has now gone down. Now everyone is on standby to quick fire, get everything up and running, ready for the opening proceeding, so that we can get the final underway. And Charles not relenting, not making this easy. Still leading by 1 point. Once again, Charles is aware of exactly what's happening. And curious to see also what Jaden would do if they happen to finish with enough time to rack the balls again with a couple of minutes left, or will he concede? Yellow has been potted. Jaden is now in the lead with a green, brown, blue, pink and black still to pot. And 10 minutes remaining. Not able to hold the cue ball for the brown. Jaden kicking up a one last fuss, snookering Charles behind the pink. And dealt with proficiently enough by Charles. Fakhri will be loving this, knowing that Charles is frustrated. He's not getting a respite in between sessions. I know Fakhri has already left the venue just to quickly go grab some lunch and ready himself for the final. You can see brown dispatched by Jaden. Confident shots, secures the frame. Jaden has now left the building. 10 minutes left. We will see the balls being racked. I'm going to have to excuse myself as we are going to go get ready for the opening proceedings. So please do stay tuned. Big thank you to our sponsors, Advice Cube and My Day Brands. We will be starting the final just before 2 o'clock. The opening proceedings should start shortly before that. We will also be live on DSTV from 2:30 p.m. for 2 hours on channel 263, Cape Town TV. Thank you so much, everyone. On 5:30, from 2:30 till 5:30. So you are welcome to stay and watch the last couple of minutes of this frame. And I will see you in the final. Thanks, everyone. Our experienced team of highly trained industry professionals understand exactly what your needs are, whether it is your family, your personal assets, or your business. Get in touch with Advice Cube today. Advice Cube, insuring assets. Advice Cube is a registered financial service provider.
too late now to turn around and back again. I made my bed and now I lay my head in it. And I'm sorry I'm not perfect, but I knew that I wouldn't be. I guess it's for the best, you know the worst in me. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. And I feel misunderstood, cause I'm trying hard to love. I'm sorry, my actions, they haunt me, and I'll never live it down. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. You call my bluff, I won't pick up, I let it ring.
Our experienced team of highly trained industry professionals understand exactly what your needs are, whether it is your family, your personal assets, or your business. Get in touch with AdviceCube today. AdviceCube, insuring assets. AdviceCube is a registered financial service provider.
Play it your way with My Day.